Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Laphroaig Cairdeas 2020 Port and Wine Cask finish. Dustin, 52% ABV. Love to get my hands on these Cairdeas bottlings. Was a fan of the triple wood, where some were not. Was a pretty big fan of the quarter cask, and was also a fan of the Fino cask. All those were really nicely well done whiskeys. Yep. Probably young, but tasty, and Laphroaig nonetheless. 2020 brings us, Dustin, the port and wine. So this cask maturation was ex-bourbon barrels and ex-ruby port second fill barrels, and then has a finishing in red wine cask. What does red wine mean? That's all the information I could get, Dustin.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just thinking, your typical red wine cask, Burgundy.
Burgundy, Cabernet.
Something like that.
It's probably a European one. They probably didn't bring anything over from California.
No. But these heavily sherry influenced Laphroaigs are kind of hit and miss for me. The PX cask was okay, triple wood with the cask strength I like, but they kind of are a little.
They're young.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I actually had a little bit of the triple wood Cairdeas last night. Mm-hmm. I think I actually finished the bottle off. I'd had it for quite a while.
Yeah, none come with age stains.
And it's young, but it's not. They're never unpleasant historically.
Always a pretty good offering. Again, I really like Laphroaig. So very dark, very kind of port wine-ish, red wine-ish color to it. What are you picking up on the nose?
The nose is that classic iodine dentist office. You get all of that Laphroaig, that rubber gloves and all that stuff. But you do get this interesting red wine note. I'm not getting ruby port, which I don't know enough about the differences in like ruby port versus port pipes to really be confident. I believe the rubies are sweeter. I
don't know. This isn't what I expected when I thought port pipe. Mm-hmm. I expected something a little darker with the fruits and things like that. I'm really getting that. Everything is very artificial smell to it.
Yeah, it definitely comes off like they used an extract versus a real thing. I don't think they did. And I think whatever that wine cask is, I just don't.
It's weird. It's a weird red wine. It almost borders on over sugared plum note is almost kind of how it comes off to me.
The funny thing is when I first nosed this, all I got was wine. But once I get my nose in it and I start kind of digging in, I lose the wine and I just get Laphroaig, which makes me very happy because I do not like that wine note here. It's
very it's an overcoat. You know what I mean? It's a thin overcoat too. It's like a slicker. You know what I mean? It's very easy to get through and penetrate.
Yeah. Now that said though, I'm still getting Laphroaig 10 cask strength mostly on this thing, which is a very lovely, nice Laphroaig. Yeah.
We're picking on palate.
So, palate, a lot of the same. Definitely getting a little bit of that wine character. It's non-descriptive red wine. Is really what I'm getting. I don't get port, and I think it's ruby port is different than a tawny port, and different than some of the ports that I've loved, which are Springbank finish. I've got some independent bottlers we'll bring in at some point. Mm-hmm. This is, it's good. Laphroaig sweetness, the malt is really nice.
It is sweet.
And I gotta tell you what though, Mike, it kicks on the end like this is 70%. I actually got a little, burn in my chest, and this is not my first drink today.
No, it is accompanied by a spicy note to it, very woody, tannicky, spicy note to it, but on the palate, that red wine became clear to me. It is church wine.
Yeah. You're right.
I grew up in a Catholic church. I go to a Catholic school until I was, probably 14 years old. And we went to church 4 days a week. We always had to take communion. And that really cheap grape wine that you have to take during communion.
Dude, you nailed it.
That's what, on the palate, it just came off like I'm in church.
And it's a little stale, too.
Yeah, it is very,
I've never had a whiskey and thought stale. This has a little staleness.
I tell you, with that grape wine that you get at communion, they got a good deal on buying wine that was 7 years old for half price.
Yeah.
And they're not drinking it.
No.
So, you're not, if you only taste to get a little sips or whatever.
If you can afford those robes, you're not drinking cheap wine.
No, you're not drinking the communion wine at all. No, and that's what I'm getting, communion wine on top of normal Laphroaig 10.
On the nose side, once we've added water though, Mike, I gotta say,
came sweeter,
it's integrated, it's sweeter.
Mm-hmm.
I like the nose now. I don't love it, but it's what I would expect from a Cairdeas, younger Laphroaig peatiness. It's nice and pleasant.
Hey, you can go with young cask strength Laphroaig. I love Laphroaig 10 cask strength. I have multiple vintages, as you know.
Yeah.
I love that whiskey. I'm picking up Laphroaig 10 cask strength and church wine.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta tell you, I don't want to go to confession.
No. All right. So then I just drank some. It's gotten bad. It wasn't great to start with, but it's just fake, artificial wine sweetness to it. I mean, it's almost like, those cheap wines where you question if it was actually grapes that made this or if they just, had some powder.
It's almost like red crab apples you get off someone's tree when you're a kid, and you just want apple from a tree, but it's a crab apple. It's small. It's almost like crab apple berry with water kind of comes out. Not pleasant. I gotta tell you.
The ethanol's gone down now, so here's the problem. I preferred the Palate before we added water, but that kick was unbelievably unpleasant.
Mm-hmm. Now good.
Now it's artificial flavors are just dominating this thing.
This is easily the worst Cairdeas offering I've had. I've only had 5 or 6.
Yeah, I'm new to the Cairdeas. I think I only go back to the quarter cask. I know some people have offered me some samples with the old ones, and
what's at least your 4th? You've done the Fino, the triple with the quarter cask.
Yeah. So it's at least 4 back, and I've been offered some samples of some other stuff, and I've kind of declined to do that just for the complexity of getting stuff to me. But
sure, and Laphroaig's weird because they do a lot of usual releases of the 25-year-old. They had the 18-year-old going for a long time. They often have these especially 27, 28, 32, 30-year-old bottlings. So they have older stock. Throw some older stock in.
Yeah. This is just...
It's almost, aggressive.
It's too aggressive. Well, I've been critical of the Ardbeg Black, which we haven't done a review of, and I don't know that we will or not. We'll see. But
it's right along the same lines.
Yeah. Thing is, though, I respected the Ardbeg Black because I thought it had really good wine casks. This is not that. These are not good wine casks. However, I gotta say, this does drink like it's a little older. This is probably 7, 8-year-old Laphroaig, is my guess. There could be some 10 in here, but it's not terribly young.
No. Anyway, where are we at as far as whiskey score on this one?
I keep going back and forth between a really low score and getting a little more favorability. But Mike, there's a quality to this where it's getting some levels of it's drinkable, it's enjoyable. And so, for me, if it's under an 80, I flat out don't want to own a bottle. I don't want to drink it. I'm at a bar and I'm just trying to get drunk and somebody hands it to me, that's
its place. This is going to people that come to my house.
To me, this is an 80. I'm gonna say it's just good enough where if I had it at home, I'd probably pour it at some point. But boy, is it rare.
I did that Lagavulin 12 2019 in 82 or 83 or something like that. And I think this is kind of in the same rate. This is an 83 out of 100. Yeah. But I bought one bottle. It wasn't expensive. It was $90 or something like that, even shipped. But I would not buy it.
I'm saying this 110, 120 some places. This has gone up in price from the old ones.
Shouldn't have. It's not a good one.
I'm seeing 110, 120. This is more expensive than the Fino. It's more expensive than the Triple Wood. This is at least $10 more, and that's
maybe wrong. I don't know. Maybe wrong. I love Laphroaig. I have plenty of Laphroaigs.
Yeah.
I enjoy them on a regular basis. This is arguably the worst Laphroaig I've ever had.
Yeah, and the thing is, I actually think there's a good whiskey here that got ruined by these wine casks.
Wrong casks.
Again, I think it needed a little more age, but the wine casks. And again, Mike, I'm saying this thing kicks and it burns. It's 52%.
It shouldn't.
52 shouldn't be brutal.
It's crab apples and church wine.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are our thoughts on this particular one. I give this one a fair chance. I'm ranking down here. I've had it for 4 or 5 months. Never was impressed with it from sip 1 to sip now. And from here on out, it's going to go to guess. Ones I don't like. Dustin, until next time, what wish the folks?
Happier drinking.
Please. Better than this. See you next time.
Jeez.